The Serenity had seen better days. Hell, she'd seen better years. But Kaylee kept her flying through sheer willpower and an intimate knowledge of every bolt, wire, and jury-rigged system aboard. Right now, though, even Kaylee's magic had its limits. The ship shuddered violently as another plasma bolt scorched past the hull. Malcolm Reynolds gripped the doorframe leading into the cockpit, his brown coat swaying with each lurch of the vessel. His jaw was set, eyes hard. He'd been in tight spots before, more than he cared to count, but this was different. This was running out of options. "Wash!" Mal called out, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I'm guessing that noise ain't normal." Hoban Washburn sat at the pilot's controls, his Hawaiian shirt soaked with sweat, hands dancing across the console with practiced desperation. "Oh, it's normal, Mal," he shot back without looking away from the viewport. "It's just the we're about to die screaming kind of normal." Outside the cockpit window, space itself had gone wrong. Stars stretched into streaks of light, bending around something massive dead ahead. A swirling vortex of energy, blues and purples spiraling inward like water down a drain, pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was impossible. Behind them, 3 Reaver ships closed the distance with terrifying speed. Their engines shrieked, a sound that shouldn't exist in vacuum but somehow did, transmitted through subspace frequencies that made human ears bleed. The ships themselves were nightmares made manifest. Hulls covered in the bodies of their victims, spikes jutting at cruel angles, painted with blood and worse things. Reavers didn't negotiate, didn't retreat, didn't stop until everything in their path was dead, violated, or both. Zoe Washburn stood at the bridge entrance, her mare's leg rifle held ready, expression carved from stone. "They're closing," she reported, voice steady as always. 30 seconds to weapons range." Down in the engine room, Kaylee fought a losing battle with the ship's overtaxed systems. Sparks flew from exposed wiring. The compression coil whined like a wounded animal. Red warnings flashed across every monitor. "Captain!" Kaylee's voice crackled through the comm, edged with panic. "The drive's overheating! She's given all she's got!" Mal's eyes remained fixed on the anomaly ahead. "Then give her something to run to, May." "There ain't nothing to—" Kaylee started, but Wash interrupted. "Actually," the pilot said. Voice tight. "There might be something." Mal moved behind Wash's seat, staring at the impossible phenomenon filling their viewport. The wormhole, if that's what it was, dominated space ahead, a churning maelstrom of energy that shouldn't exist according to any physics Mal understood. "That ain't natural," Wash said quietly. "Looks like an exit to me," Mal replied. "It looks like the universe having a seizure." "You got a better plan?" Wash's hands hovered over the controls. For a moment, silence filled the cockpit except for the distant wail of Reaver engines and the groan of stressed metal. Then Wash's jaw set with grim determination. "No," he admitted. "No, I don't." "Then fly." The Reavers fired. Plasma bolts, unstable, superheated, streaked through space. One caught the Serenity's port stabilizer. The ship lurched violently. In the passenger dorm, Simon Tam threw himself over his sister, shielding River as they slammed into the bulkhead. River didn't scream. Instead, her eyes stared at something beyond the walls, beyond the ship, beyond normal space. "They're calling," she whispered. "The ones who live in the space between. They want us to come." "River, hold on," Simon pleaded, but she seemed not to hear him. In the cargo bay, Jane Cobb checked Vera's ammunition and grinned despite everything. "If we're gonna die, least it's interesting." Shepard Book stood at the bay window, hands folded, watching the wormhole approach. He'd seen a lot in his years. Violence, miracles, things that defied explanation. But this felt different, significant, like standing at the threshold of something greater than himself. He whispered a prayer and held on. Wash's fingers flew across the controls. Approaching the anomaly. Energy readings are insane. This is completely... Do it, Mal ordered. The Serenity dove into the wormhole. The Reavers followed, weapons blazing, screaming their wordless fury. Space exploded into light. Colors that had no names overwhelmed every sensor. The ship twisted, spun, stretched across dimensions that shouldn't exist. Time became meaningless. Distance became irrelevant. The crew felt themselves pulled apart and compressed simultaneously, reality bending around them like water around a stone. And then, silence. The turbulence stopped. The screaming engines cut out. Stars appeared again, but wrong. Different constellations, unfamiliar systems. Wash blinked, hands still gripping the controls, breathing hard. We're through. We made it. Where's through? Mal asked quietly. Before anyone could answer, something massive filled the viewport. A space station, enormous, geometric, bristling with weapons arrays and docking ports. Lights blazed across its surface like a city floating in the void. Its design was sleek, purposeful, nothing like the crude stations of the Rim worlds. Mal, Wash said slowly, I think we fell into someone else's backyard. Behind them, the wormhole flared again. The Reavers burst through, weapons hot, engines shrieking. They'd followed. Deep Space Nine's operations center hummed with routine efficiency. Officers moved between stations, monitoring sensor data, coordinating docking procedures, managing the endless flow of commerce and politics that flowed through the station. Commander Benjamin Sisko sat in his office reviewing reports when alarms shattered the calm. Commander! The ops officer's voice was sharp with urgency. Massive energy surge at the wormhole. Sisko was on his feet instantly, striding onto the command deck. On screen, the view screen showed the Bajoran wormhole, the celestial temple to the Bajoran people, a stable passage to the Gamma Quadrant to Starfleet. It was opening, but not the usual elegant bloom of blue light. This was violent, chaotic, wrong. Something punched through, a ship, small and battered, tumbling end over end before stabilizing with obvious difficulty. Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax's hands moved across her science console, pulling up readings. Benjamin, that configuration, it's not Federation, not Cardassian, not Dominion. I've never seen anything like it. Major Kira Nerys leaned forward from her position. Then what is it? Before anyone could answer, the wormhole flared again. 3 more ships emerged, jagged, asymmetrical, covered in what sensors identified as organic matter and metallic spikes. Multiple hostile vessels, the ops officer reported, voice cracking slightly. Commander, they're broadcasting, they're screaming. Audio filtered through the bridge. Not words, not language. Raw, animalistic howling mixed with mechanical shrieks that made something primal in every human present recoil in instinctive horror. Even Lieutenant Commander Worf stiffened at tactical, his Klingon warrior instincts recognizing predators when he heard them. These are warriors, he growled. Berserkers. They're firing on the first ship, Kira said sharply. Red alert, Sisko ordered. Shields up, hail the lead vessel. Klaxons wailed. The station's defensive systems powered up with a hum that resonated through the deck plating. Officers scrambled to battle stations with practiced efficiency. The view screen flickered, establishing a connection. A man appeared, 30s, brown coat, face dusty and bleeding from a cut above one eye. His expression was hard, desperate, but defiant. Name's Malcolm Reynolds, he said quickly. Captain of the transport ship Serenity. We're peaceful folk, mostly, and we'd appreciate not dying today. Sisko studied him with the practiced eye of a commander who dealt with everyone from Cardassian war criminals to Ferengi con artists. This man was running scared, but there was steel underneath. This is Commander Benjamin Sisko of Deep Space Nine, he replied. You brought hostile forces into Bajoran space. Wasn't our plan, Commander, Reynolds shot back. Those things behind us, they don't negotiate, don't surrender, they kill everything they catch, and they don't stop. On screen, one of the hostile ships ignored all sense of self-preservation and rammed a Federation runabout. The impact was brutal. Shields flared. The runabout spun away, trailing debris and venting atmosphere. Worf's hands moved across tactical. "Commander, those vessels are targeting civilians in their attack pattern. No honor, no strategy, pure aggression." Sisko's jaw tightened. Whatever these ships were, whoever Reynolds was, innocent people were dying. The calculation was simple. "Mr. Worf," he said quietly, "permission to engage fully." Worf's smile was predatory. "Aye, Commander." Deep Space Nine's weapons arrays opened fire. Phaser beams, precise, devastating, lanced across space with surgical accuracy. The lead hostile ship erupted into flame and shrapnel. Photon torpedoes followed, streaking like avenging angels toward their targets. A second hostile vessel took a direct hit to its engines and tumbled away, breaking apart as internal explosions tore through its hull. Aboard the Serenity, Wash watched with wide eyes as the station's weapons carved through the reavers with terrifying efficiency. "Okay," he breathed. "I really like these people." The USS Defiant, sleek, deadly, purpose-built for war, roared out of its docking port like a predator unleashed. Its quantum torpedoes and pulse phasers joined the barrage. The third reaver ship tried to flee, tried to retreat back through the wormhole. It didn't make it. The combined firepower of DS9 and the Defiant reduced it to expanding gas and debris. Silence fell across local space, broken only by the crackle of cooling weapons systems and the hiss of escaping atmosphere from damaged vessels. The Serenity hung in space, battered but intact, surrounded by the wreckage of her pursuers. On DS9's view screen, Malcolm Reynolds stared at the destruction with something like awe. "Well," he said quietly, "ain't that neighborly?" Sisko allowed himself a small smile. "Captain Reynolds, dock with the station. We need to talk." Mal glanced off screen at someone, then back. "Commander, we got wounded. Ship's barely holding together, and I got about 100 questions starting with, where the hell are we?" "All will be answered," Sisko assured him. "Docking Bay 5. We'll have medical teams standing by." The channel closed. Kira looked at Sisko. "Do we trust him?" "We don't know enough not to," Sisko replied. "But keep security on standby. Something just came through the celestial temple that the prophets allowed, or caused. Either way, we need to understand why." Dax's console beeped. She frowned at the readings. "Benjamin, I'm analyzing the debris from those hostile ships. The organic matter on their hulls. It's human. Modified, degraded, but human." The bridge went quiet. "They weren't just attacking Reynolds," Kira said slowly. "They were hunting him with the bodies of their victims." Worf's expression was grim. "What kind of enemy does this?" On the view screen, the Serenity limped toward the station, trailing smoke from her damaged engines. A rust bucket survivor in a sea of Federation sleekness. And somewhere in the wreckage field, something stirred. One reaver vessel, damaged, crippled, but not destroyed, drifted into the shadow of an asteroid, its remaining crew already planning their next hunt. The wormhole pulsed once, blue light reflecting across DS9's hull, and then fell silent. Watching, waiting. The docking bay fell silent as the Serenity's airlock hissed open. Starfleet security officers stood in formation, phaser rifles held ready but not aimed. Medical teams waited with tricorders and emergency kits. Chief Miles O'Brien supervised a damage control team, already eyeing the battered ship with professional concern. The Serenity's crew emerged slowly, cautiously, like animals emerging from a cave into unfamiliar territory. Malcolm Reynolds stepped out first, always first. It was the captain's burden, to face the unknown before asking his crew to follow. His hand rested near his gun, not threatening, just ready. Behind him came Zoe, rifle slung across her back, eyes scanning for threats with military precision. Then Wash, still pale from the flight, followed by Kaylee, whose eyes went wide with wonder despite her exhaustion. Jane emerged next, Vera visible over his shoulder, grinning like he'd just stumbled into the best bar fight of his life. Shepherd Book came after, hands visible and empty, radiating calm. Inara Sera followed with practiced grace, even covered in dust and smoke. Finally, Simon appeared, one protective hand on River's shoulder as she stepped barefoot onto the deck plating, head tilted, listening to something no one else could hear. Major Kira Nerys approached first, hand near her phaser but posture deliberately non-threatening. "Captain Reynolds, welcome to Deep Space Nine." Mal nodded, taking in the station around him, the sleek bulkheads, the organized efficiency, the clean uniforms. Everything the Independence had never been. "Ma'am, appreciate the hospitality." "And the timely rescue." "Those ships that attacked you," Kira said carefully. "What were they?" Mal's jaw tightened. "Reavers. Humans who went mad out on the edge of civilized space. They kill, they rape, they eat their victims, sometimes in that order, sometimes not." The Starfleet officers exchanged glances. O'Brien's face went pale. "They're from your universe?" Kira asked. "Unfortunately," Mal replied. "Though I'm guessing we ain't in our universe anymore." "No," Commander Sisko said, approaching from the command office overlooking the bay. "You're not." Mal studied the tall man descending the stairs, the bearing of command, the weight of responsibility in his eyes. Another captain, another war survivor. Mal recognized his own kind. "Commander Benjamin Sisko," the man introduced himself, extending his hand. "Welcome aboard Deep Space Nine, a Bajoran station under Starfleet administration. You came through the Bajoran wormhole, a stable passage connecting our Alpha Quadrant to the Gamma Quadrant 70,000 light-years away." Mal shook his hand, noting the firm grip. "Malcolm Reynolds, captain of the Serenity. That wormhole wasn't on any of our star charts. We were just running for our lives." "And you brought something dangerous with you," Sisko said. Not accusatory, just stating fact. "Didn't have much choice in the matter." Sisko nodded, understanding. "Chief O'Brien will see to your ship's repairs. Dr. Bashir will treat your wounded. But we need to talk, privately. There are things you need to understand about where you are." Mal glanced back at his crew. Zoe gave him an almost imperceptible nod. "Kaylee, go with their engineer. Learn what you can. Zoe, secure the ship. Everyone else, get cleaned up and don't cause trouble." "Do we ever?" Jane asked. "Yes," everyone answered simultaneously. Sisko's office was sparse but functional. A desk, a view screen, a few personal items that spoke of family and faith. Mal sat across from the commander while Kira stood near the door. Through the window, the wormhole was visible in the distance, a dormant mouth in space. "Your Federation," Mal began. "You run things around here?" "The United Federation of Planets is an alliance of over 150 member worlds," Sisko explained. "We explore, we defend, we seek peaceful coexistence with other species. And when they don't want peaceful coexistence, then we defend ourselves," Sisko replied evenly. "We're not pacifists, Captain. We've fought wars. Against the Cardassians, against the Dominion, we've lost millions, but we try diplomacy first." Mal leaned back, studying him. "In my experience, diplomacy's what folks with bigger guns call negotiation." "Sometimes," Sisko admitted, "but not always. The Federation isn't perfect. We make compromises, political decisions that cost lives, but we're trying to build something better than what came before." "We tried that once," Mal said quietly. "The Independents fought a war against the Alliance, unified government controlling the core planets, thought we were fighting for freedom." He paused. "Lost anyway." "But you kept fighting," Sisko observed. "You're still protecting your crew." "Crew's all I got left," Kira spoke up from the door. "Those Reavers, you said your government created them." Mal's expression darkened. Science experiment on a colony world called Miranda. Alliance wanted to create a peaceful population, chemically modify their aggression away. Tested it on 30 million people. His voice went cold. Worked on most of them. They just laid down and died. Stopped eating, stopped living. But 0.1% had the opposite reaction. Became animals, worse than animals. And the Alliance covered it up. That's monstrous, Kira breathed. That's the Alliance. Cisco leaned forward. Captain, our sensors detected something troubling. We destroyed 3 Reaver ships, but there may have been a 4th. Damaged, but it could have survived, hiding in the Denorios asteroid belt. Mal straightened. Then you got a problem. Reavers don't quit. They'll wait. Repair what they can and attack when you're not ready. We'll run patrols, Cisco said. But there's another issue. The wormhole connects to Dominion space, a hostile empire in the Gamma Quadrant. If they detected your arrival and saw the Reavers, they might see weapons they can use, Mal finished. Exactly. Mal stood, moving to the window, staring at the wormhole. So we brought our problems into your backyard, and now we can't leave. Can't or won't? Cisco asked. Can't. That wormhole's the only passage we know. And from what you're saying, our universe might be on the other side of 70,000 light-years of your space. Mal turned. We're stranded. Then we deal with the situation at hand, Cisco said. Together, your crew can stay aboard the station while we figure out next steps. But I need to know I can trust you, Captain. Mal met his eyes. I keep my people safe. I keep my word when I give it. And I don't run when folks are dying because of me. That enough? Cisco considered, then nodded. It'll do for now. The engineering section of Deep Space Nine was a cathedral to technology. Massive conduits pulsed with energy. Monitors displayed systems Kaylee couldn't begin to identify. And in the center of it all, Chief Miles O'Brien worked with the casual competence of a man who'd kept impossible machinery running through impossible circumstances. Your ship, O'Brien said, crawling out from under a console in the Serenity's engine room, is a bloody miracle. Kaylee beamed. She's my girl. Been with her since I was 16. With these resources, this technology? O'Brien shook his head in admiration. You're keeping a faster-than-light vessel operational with what amounts to 20th century tools. It's remarkable. Just gotta know how she thinks, Kaylee said, patting the bulkhead affectionately. She talks to me, tells me what she needs. O'Brien smiled. I know the feeling. Worked on the Enterprise before this posting. She had her own personality, too. He pulled out a tool that looked like a cross between a wrench and a scanner. Here, let me show you something. Your compression coil. It's running at 80% efficiency because of heat distribution. If we reroute the coolant flow like this. Kaylee watched, fascinated, as systems she'd struggled with for years suddenly made new sense under O'Brien's guidance. Chief, she said quietly, can we go home? Through that wormhole? O'Brien's expression sobered. I don't know, lass. The wormhole connects 2 points in our universe. If yours is a different reality entirely, he trailed off. We'll figure it out. Commander Cisco's brilliant, and Dax, she's smarter than all of us combined. If there's a way, they'll find it. Kaylee nodded, blinking back tears. Thank you, for being kind. We take care of our own, O'Brien said gently. And right now, you're one of ours. Quark's bar was doing steady business despite the recent excitement. Ferengi, Bajorans, Starfleet officers, and various species Jane couldn't identify filled the tables, drinking, gambling, dealing. Jane loved it immediately. He sat at the bar, Vera leaning against his stool, eyeing a glass of something blue and luminescent. What the hell is this? He asked the bartender, a short, large-eared alien with too many teeth. Romulan ale, Quark replied, grinning. Highly illegal in the Federation, which makes it highly profitable. You're my kind of businessman, Jane said, downing the drink. His eyes widened. Gorham, that's good. Of course it is. Nothing but the best at Quarks. The Ferengi leaned in conspiratorially. You've got the look of a man who appreciates quality merchandise. Weapons, perhaps? I know a dealer. Mr. Cobb, a voice interrupted. Jane turned to find a humanoid figure that hadn't been there a second ago. Golden skin, almost liquid in appearance, wearing a security uniform. Constable Odo, the being said. Station security. That weapon you're carrying, Vera stays with me, Jane said flatly. Odo studied him with unnervingly still eyes. I'm aware of your recent circumstances, but understand, this station has rules. Violence will not be tolerated. Ain't planning violence, just planning to be ready if violence comes planning for me. Odo's expression might have been amusement. Hard to tell with a shapeshifter. Keep it holstered, step out of line, and you'll discover I'm very good at my job. He turned and walked away, or rather, flowed away, his form shifting slightly with each step. What the hell was that? Jane demanded. Shapeshifter, Quark said casually. Founder, from the Dominion. Long story. He's one of the good ones mostly, keeps me honest. Seems like a useful trick. Oh, it is, which is why everyone's terrified of his people. Jane ordered another drink, filing that information away. The Bajoran temple aboard DS9 was quiet, peaceful, filled with the soft glow of prayer candles. Major Kira knelt before the altar, hands folded, seeking guidance from the prophets. Mind if I join you? She looked up to find Shepherd Book standing in the doorway, respectful, waiting for permission. You're welcome, Kira said. Though I should warn you, this isn't a Christian chapel. Faith wears many faces, Book replied, sitting on a nearby bench. I've learned to appreciate them all. They sat in companionable silence for a moment. The prophets, Book said eventually. Commander Sisko mentioned them. They live in the wormhole? They exist outside linear time, Kira explained. To them, past, present, and future all happen simultaneously. They're teachers, guides. The Celestial Temple, what Starfleet calls the wormhole, is their home. And they brought us here? I believe so. The prophets rarely act without purpose. Book considered this. In my faith, we believe God has a plan, that even suffering serves a purpose we may not understand. You've suffered, Kira observed. It wasn't a question. I've done things I'm not proud of, Book admitted. Before I found faith, before I found the shepherd's path. The prophets teach that what we were matters less than what we choose to become. Your people have been through hell, haven't they? I saw the memorials, the Cardassian occupation. Kira's jaw tightened. 50 years, slave labor, genocide. My entire childhood was fighting in the resistance, watching friends die, doing whatever it took to survive. But you did survive, and you're still fighting, for peace now instead of freedom. Sometimes I'm not sure there's a difference. Book smiled gently. Maybe that's the journey. Learning to fight for building instead of just breaking. The science lab was a wonderland of technology. Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax worked at a console displaying wormhole physics that made Wash's head hurt, just looking at them. So, Wash said, trying to follow along, the wormhole is naturally occurring? The prophets created it, Dax explained. But yes, it's stable. Barring unusual circumstances, it opens and closes in predictable patterns. What's unusual circumstances? Well, you, for instance. Dax smiled. She had an easy warmth that reminded Wash of Kaylee. Your entry was violent, chaotic. The energy signatures were all wrong, like the wormhole was forced open. Maybe it was, Rivers said from across the lab. Everyone turned. The girl had been silent since they'd arrived, standing by the window, staring at space. River? Simon moved toward his sister protectively. They opened it for us, River continued, eyes distant. The ones who live outside time. They saw the screaming ones, the damaged ones who hurt the fabric of space. They wanted them here. The prophets wanted the Reavers? Dax asked, fascinated. They wanted the wound closed. We're the knife. Simon put a hand on her shoulder. River, maybe you should rest. I can hear them, River said, turning to face them. Her eyes were clear, lucid, terrifying in their certainty. They're very loud. They don't speak in words. They speak in concepts. Time is a river to them. They see all points at once. They saw us, saw the screaming, saw this moment. Can you ask them how to get us home? Wash asked quietly. River's expression went sad. Home is behind us. The river only flows forward. Deep in the Denorios asteroid belt, hidden in the shadow of a massive rock formation, the damaged Reaver ship drifted silently. Its hull was breached, engines barely functional, weapons offline. But inside, the crew, if they could still be called that, moved with terrible purpose. They repaired what could be repaired, salvaged what could be salvaged, and waited. Reavers were patient when hunting. And on this station, surrounded by thousands of potential victims, they could afford to wait. Far away, on the other side of the wormhole, in Dominion space, sensors had detected the unusual activity. Vorta administrators reviewed the data with interest. Jem'Hadar soldiers stood ready for orders. And in the depths of the Great Link, the founders, the shape-shifting rulers of the Dominion, considered the possibilities. New ships, new tactics, new potential weapons against the Federation. The wormhole had brought opportunity, and the Dominion never ignored opportunity. The Defiance Bridge was built for war. Compact, efficient, every station positioned for maximum effectiveness in combat. Commander Sisko stood at the center, hands clasped behind his back, staring at the tactical display. Mal Reynolds stood beside him, studying the same data with a different perspective. The Denorios asteroid belt spread across the screen like a minefield of rock and ice. Your people found debris, Mal said. Reaver ship parts. Warp trail too, Worf added from tactical. Faint, but detectable. The vessel is damaged, but mobile. They're hunting, Mal said quietly. Reavers don't flee. They find a hiding spot, repair what they can, and wait for the perfect moment to strike. Dax looked up from her console. Our patrols haven't detected any ships in the belt. They could be using the asteroid field to mask their signature. Or they're just that good at hiding, Mal countered. Reavers live on the edge of space. They know how to disappear. Sisko turned to him. In your experience, what's their next move? They'll scout the station, learn patrol patterns, count your ships, then they'll hit fast and hard when you least expect it, probably targeting an outlying section, trying to board rather than destroy. Why board when they could simply attack? Worf asked. Mal's expression went dark. Because they don't just want to kill you, Lieutenant. They want to wear you. The bridge fell silent. Commander, Kira's voice crackled over the comm. We're receiving a priority transmission from Starfleet Intelligence. It's about the wormhole activity. On screen in my ready room, Sisko ordered. He looked at Mal. You should hear this too. The ready room was cramped with bodies. Sisko, Kira, Dax, Worf, and Mal crowded around the display as a Starfleet admiral appeared. Human, female, mid-50s, with the bearing of someone who'd seen too many battles. Commander Sisko, Admiral Ross began without preamble. We've analyzed the sensor data from the wormhole event. The energy signature was detected by long-range stations throughout the sector. Meaning? Sisko asked. Meaning the Dominion knows something came through. They've increased activity near the Gamma Quadrant terminus. Reconnaissance vessels, probe launches. They're investigating. Kira leaned forward. Do they know about the Reavers? Unknown. But if they detected the same energy patterns we did, they'll be curious. And the Dominion doesn't do curiosity halfway. Mal spoke up. Admiral Malcolm Reynolds, captain of the ship that came through. If these Dominion folks are hostile and they find out about Reavers, what's the worst that happens? Ross studied him through the screen. Captain Reynolds, the Dominion is a vast empire ruled by shapeshifters called the Founders. They use genetically engineered soldiers, Jem'Hadar, bred for combat and loyalty. They've been at war with the Federation for years. And they'd want Reavers because Because weapons that can't be reasoned with, can't surrender, and fight with suicidal aggression would be extremely valuable, Dax answered. If they could control them. They can't, Mal said flatly. Nobody controls Reavers. You either kill them or they kill you. The Dominion might not know that, Ross replied. They might try to capture one, study it, find a way to weaponize the process that created them. Sisko's jaw tightened. Admiral, recommend we destroy the remaining Reaver vessel immediately. Hunting it down takes priority over... Negative, Commander. Starfleet Command wants that ship captured if possible. We need to study it, understand the technology, the biology of its crew. Knowledge we can use. Admiral, with respect, Sisko began. I understand your concerns, Commander, but orders are orders. Capture if possible, destroy only as last resort. The transmission ended. Mal turned to Sisko. Your command just made a mistake. Starfleet has protocols, Kira started. Protocols get people killed, Mal interrupted. You don't capture Reavers, you don't study them, you burn them out of existence and pray you got them all. Sisko met his eyes. I don't like it either, Captain, but I follow orders unless I have damn good reason not to. How about survival? That a good enough reason? Gentlemen, Dax interjected. Arguing won't solve the immediate problem. The Reaver ship is out there. The Dominion is watching. We need a plan. Worf growled his agreement. We should increase patrols, fortify the station, prepare for attack. And if the Dominion comes through looking for answers? Kira asked. Then we tell them the truth, Sisko said. A damaged vessel from another universe is hiding in our space. We're hunting it. They should stay out of the way. Mal laughed bitterly. Yeah, I'm sure they'll listen. Deep Space Nine's promenade bustled with activity despite the underlying tension. Word had spread about the strange ship and its crew. Some people were curious, others were afraid. Zoe Washburn sat in the Replimat, a food service area that produced meals from pure energy, which she still didn't quite believe, watching the crowd. Wash sat across from her, working on a PIAD that Dax had lent him, studying wormhole mechanics. You actually understand that? Zoe asked. Not even a little, Wash admitted cheerfully, but it's keeping my mind occupied. Better than thinking about being stranded. We're not stranded, we're temporarily displaced. Zoe smiled despite herself. That what we're calling it? Before Wash could answer, a shadow fell across their table. They looked up to find Worf standing there. Arms crossed, expression unreadable. Mrs. Washburn, he said formally, I wish to speak with you. Zoe's hand moved instinctively toward her weapon, which wasn't there. Station security had confiscated most of their firearms, though Mal had negotiated to keep a few locked in the Serenity. About? She asked carefully. Your combat experience. Captain Reynolds mentioned you served in a war. Independent Army, Sergeant. Fought for 6 years before we lost. Worf nodded, something like respect in his eyes. I am Klingon. We value warriors. I have reviewed security footage of your arrival. The way you moved, your positioning, your tactical awareness. You are skilled. Thank you, Lieutenant. I would like to train with you, exchange techniques, your projectile weapons combat versus my Batleth training. Wash blinked. Is he asking you on a warrior date? It is not. Worf started, looking uncomfortable. Zoe stood, extending her hand. I'd be honored, Lieutenant. When? Tomorrow. 0600 hours. Holosuite 2. They shook. Worf nodded and left. Did that just happen? Wash asked. Apparently I made a Klingon friend. This universe gets weirder every hour. The infirmary was quiet. Dr. Julian Bashir worked at his console while Simon Tam observed, taking mental notes on technology that seemed impossibly advanced. Your medical bay, Simon said carefully. It can heal injuries in hours that would take weeks in our universe. The dermal regenerator is standard issue, Bashir replied, holding up a small device. Knits tissue at the cellular level. We also have surgical suites with biobeds that can perform operations with minimal invasiveness. And you offer this to everyone, not just the wealthy? It's a basic right in the Federation. Healthcare, food, housing, nobody goes without. Simon was quiet for a moment. In my universe, my sister was tortured by the government. Cut open, experimented on. I spent everything my family had trying to save her. If we'd had this, he gestured at the equipment around them. What they did to River is unconscious, Bashir said quietly. I examined her neural patterns. The damage is extensive. But Simon, she's also brilliant. Her mind works in ways I've never seen. The prophets are communicating with her because she can perceive realities most of us can't. The prophets are using her, or helping her. Perspective matters. Simon looked through the window into the recovery room, where River sat on a bio bed, staring at nothing, lips moving in silent conversation with beings that existed outside time. I just want her to be safe, Simon said. Then you're in the right place, Bashir replied. We protect our own here. Quark's bar had become Jane's second home in the 36 hours since their arrival. He sat at his usual spot, Romulan ale in hand, watching the crowd and listening to conversations. That's how he heard about the Dominion. 2 Starfleet officers at the next table, voices low, worried. Increased activity on the other side. Probe ships getting close. If they find out what came through, Jane filed it away. Information was currency, and he was good at collecting it. Odo materialized beside him, literally, flowing from liquid to solid in a way that still made Jane's skin crawl. You've been listening, the constable observed. Public place, public conversation. And what will you do with what you heard? Jane met the shapeshifter's eyes. Tell my captain, like I always do. Odo studied him. You're loyal to Reynolds. He keeps us flying, keeps us fed, keeps us free. That buys loyalty. Even when fleeing brings you here, stranded? We ain't stranded, just temporarily inconvenienced. Odo's expression might have been amusement. The Dominion is dangerous, Mr. Cobb. If they come through that wormhole looking for answers about the Reavers, this station becomes a battlefield. Been on battlefields before, still here. You're either very brave or very foolish. Jane grinned. Little of both. Constable. The wormhole opened with its characteristic bloom of blue light. Not unusual. It opened dozens of times a day for merchant vessels, exploratory ships, civilian transports traveling between the Alpha and Gamma quadrants. But this time was different. The ship that emerged was sleek, predatory, built for war. Dominion design, instantly recognizable to anyone who'd survived the recent conflict. DS9 sensors detected it immediately. Red alert, Sisko ordered, already moving to the command deck. What are we looking at? Jem'Hadar warship, Kira reported. They're not responding to hails. Power up weapons, Sisko said, but don't fire unless they do. The Dominion ship held position just outside the wormhole, sensors actively scanning the station and surrounding space. Dax frowned at her console. Benjamin. They're broadcasting on a tight beam frequency, encrypted, aimed at the Denorio's belt. They're looking for something, Sisko said. Or someone, Kira added. Mal ran onto ops, slightly out of breath. That the Dominion? Yes. They looking for the Reavers? Appears so. Then we got maybe hours before this whole situation goes to hell. As if to confirm his words, Dax's console lit up with new contacts. Benjamin, she said urgently. I'm detecting a response. From the asteroid belt. The Reaver ship. It's transmitting back. The bridge went silent. Dear God, Kira whispered. They're communicating. Reavers don't communicate, Mal said, voice tight. They scream. They kill. They don't. They're responding to the Dominion signal, Dax confirmed. Crude, basic, but it's definitely a reply. Worf's hands moved across tactical. Commander, if the Dominion and Reavers form an alliance, then we have an extinction-level problem, Sisko finished. On screen, the wormhole opened again. Another Dominion vessel emerged. Then another. 3 warships now, holding position, waiting. They're not here to talk, Mal said. They're here to collect. Sisko's mind raced through options, all of them bad. Hail the lead Dominion vessel, all frequencies. The view screen shifted. A pale humanoid appeared. Vorta, Dax's memories identified. Purple eyes, unnaturally calm expression, speaking with the certainty of absolute power. Commander Sisko, the Vorta said pleasantly. I am Weyoun. The Founders send their greetings. Weyoun, your ships are in violation of the Dominion Treaty. You're not authorized for Alpha Quadrant incursions without prior notification. Oh, we're not here for conflict, Commander. Merely investigation. We detected an unusual energy signature from the wormhole. Something new. Something that doesn't belong. A damaged vessel from an alternate reality, Sisko said carefully. We're handling the situation. I'm sure you are. However, the Founders are curious. This vessel, these Reavers, as we understand they're called, they intrigue us. Their biology, their tactics, their dedication to violence. They're murderers, cannibals, not exactly prime diplomatic material. Weyoun smiled. The Founders don't seek diplomacy with them, Commander. We seek understanding. Perhaps cooperation of a sort. You can't control them. We've controlled far more dangerous species. Mal stepped forward into camera range. You're making a mistake. Weyoun's eyes shifted to him. And you are? The man who's been running from these things for years. You think you can use them? Turn them into weapons. They'll tear through your empire like locusts through wheat. Colorful, but ultimately irrelevant. The Founders' decision is made. We will retrieve the damaged vessel, study its occupants. If they prove useful, we will cultivate more. Over my dead body, Sisko said quietly. That can be arranged, Commander. Weyoun's pleasant expression never changed. But I'd prefer to avoid unnecessary conflict. Stand aside. Let us collect what we've come for. And we'll leave peacefully. And if I refuse, then the Dominion will consider it an act of war. The transmission ended. Sisko turned to Mal. Can we destroy that Reaver ship before the Dominion reaches it? Depends. How fast can you move? Worf, prep the Defiant for immediate launch. Maximum warp to the Denorio's belt. Arm quantum torpedoes. Aye, Commander. I'm coming with you, Mal said. Captain Reynolds, those are my people's monsters. I got a responsibility. Sisko studied him, then nodded. Get your gear. We leave in 10 minutes. The Defiant cut through space like a blade, racing toward the asteroid belt. Behind it, 3 Dominion warships followed, engines burning hot, closing the distance. It was a race now, to the Reavers, to nightmare made flesh. And whoever got there first would determine whether it was destroyed or unleashed upon the galaxy. In the Defiant's cargo bay, Mal checked his weapon, a projectile pistol, ancient by Federation standards, but reliable. Beside him, Zoe and Jane did the same. Worf watched with professional interest. You know this is suicide, Zoe said quietly. Probably, Mal agreed. Just wanted to confirm. We left suicide back when we flew through that wormhole. This is just following through. The ship shuddered as it went to maximum warp. And somewhere ahead, hidden in rock and shadow, the Reavers waited. Hungry, patient, ready. The Denorio's asteroid belt loomed ahead. A vast field of rock and ice. Ancient debris from the formation of the Bajoran system. Thousands of hiding places. Thousands of shadows where death could wait. The Defiant dropped out of warp at the belt's edge, sensors sweeping the field with desperate urgency. Scanning for the Reaver vessel, Dax reported from the science station. Her fingers danced across the console, filtering through countless asteroid signatures. There, I've got something. Metallic composition, power readings, bearing 273 Mark V. On screen, Sisko ordered. The view screen showed a jagged ship nestled against a massive asteroid, using its shadow and the rock's mineral composition to mask its signature. The vessel was damaged, hull breaches visible, one engine dark, but it was intact, alive. And as they watched, figures moved across its exterior. human shapes performing repairs with disturbing coordination. "They're fixing it," Mal said quietly, from the tactical station where he stood with Worf. "Give them another few hours, they'll be flying again." "We don't have hours," Sisko replied. "The Dominion ships are 12 minutes behind us. Worf, target that vessel. Quantum torpedoes. Full spread." "Aye, Commander. Weapons locked." Mal's hand shot out, stopping him. "Wait." Everyone turned. "If you just blow it up from here," Mal said, "you'll never know if you got them all. Reavers are smart enough to evacuate. Could be hiding in the asteroid caves. You destroy that ship, you might just scatter them across the belt, and then you got a real problem." "What do you suggest?" Sisko asked. "Board it. Clear it deck by deck. Make sure every last one is dead. Then blow it to atoms." Worf's expression was grim approval. "A warrior's solution. Commander," Kira's voice crackled over the comm from DS9. "We're tracking the Dominion vessels. They're closing fast. You've got maybe 10 minutes before they arrive." Sisko made the calculation instantly. "Worf, assemble a boarding party. Full tactical gear. Phasers set to maximum. Mal, your people can come if they want, but this isn't their fight." "The hell it isn't," Mal replied. "These are our monsters." "Then let's go hunting." The transporter room hummed with energy as the boarding party assembled. Worf stood at the front in full tactical gear, Batleth strapped to his back, phaser rifle in hand. Behind him, 4 Starfleet security officers, hardened veterans who'd survived the Dominion War. And beside them, looking almost primitive by comparison, Mal with his pistol, Zoe with her mare's leg rifle, Jane carrying Vera and grinning like Christmas had come early. "You understand the risk?" Sisko asked from the transporter console. He'd wanted to lead the boarding himself, but command required he stay with the ship. "We've boarded plenty of vessels," Mal replied. "Granted, usually we're stealing from them, not clearing them of cannibals, but the principle's the same." "These aren't ordinary enemies," Worf said, his tone making it clear he wasn't questioning their courage, just ensuring they understood. "They will not retreat. They will not surrender." "Good," Jane said. "Makes it simple." Zoe caught Wash's eye where he stood by the door. No words, just a look that said everything. "Come back, you damn fool," and his slight nod that promised he'd try. "Energize," Worf ordered. The world dissolved into light. They materialized in a nightmare. The Reaver ship's interior was darkness broken by flickering emergency lights. The walls were covered in. Mal forced himself not to look too closely. Blood, bodies, worse things. The air stank of death and burning metal. And everywhere, the sound of movement. Scratching, breathing, waiting. "Spread out," Worf commanded quietly. "Standard sweep pattern, watch your corners." The boarding party moved forward in disciplined formation. The Starfleet officers had tricorders, tracking life signs. What they found made them pale. 23 biosigns, one whispered. Scattered throughout the ship. All human, but the readings are wrong. Brain activity is abnormal. Extreme aggression markers. "That's Reavers," Mal confirmed. "How many between us and engineering?" "At least 8. "Then that's where we start. Cut off their engine repairs, trap them, then clear deck by deck." They moved deeper into the ship. The corridors were tight, claustrophobic, lined with the evidence of madness. Crude repairs, savage artwork, and bodies. Some fresh, some not, lashed to bulkheads like trophies. Zoe's jaw tightened. She'd seen war, seen atrocities. But this was different. This was humanity stripped away, leaving only appetite and rage. A sound ahead, skittering like claws on metal. "Contact," Worf growled. The Reaver came around the corner fast, a twisted thing that had once been human, face scarred and painted, teeth filed to points, moving with impossible speed. Worf fired. The phaser beam caught at center mass, and the Reaver simply stopped existing. Vaporized at maximum setting. 2 more appeared behind it. Jane's Vera barked, loud, brutal, primitive. The projectile rounds tore through the first Reaver, dropping it. Zoe's mare's leg took the second with precision that spoke of years fighting in trenches. "They're fast," one of the Starfleet officers said, voice tight. "And there's more coming," Mal replied. "Keep moving. Don't let them surround us." They pressed forward, encountering resistance at every junction. The Reavers attacked with suicidal ferocity, using the ship's tight corridors to their advantage, dropping from ceiling panels, emerging from maintenance ducts. But Worf's team was disciplined, professional, and Mal's crew had survived impossible odds before. They reached engineering 15 minutes later, having left 6 Reaver corpses in their wake. The engine room was a cathedral of jury-rigged machinery and madness. 3 Reavers worked on the damaged systems with disturbing coordination, proof that some memory, some technical knowledge, survived whatever transformation had destroyed their humanity. "Take them," Worf ordered. The fight was brief and brutal. Phaser fire lit up the darkness. Vera's roar echoed off metal walls. When it was over, the engine room was silent except for the hum of dying systems. "Plant charges," Worf commanded. "We'll destroy the ship from within." One of the security officers moved to the main reactor, setting a photon grenade with a timer. 5 minutes, he reported. "Then we move," Worf said. "Back to the beam-out point." They turned to leave, and found their exit blocked. 14 Reavers stood in the corridor beyond, not attacking, just waiting, watching with eyes that held terrible intelligence beneath the madness. And in the center, one that was different, bigger, scarred, wearing the remnants of what might have been a captain's uniform. It spoke. The voice was broken, barely human, but the words were clear. "New meat, new ships, take us across the stars." "Dear God," Zoe breathed. "It's thinking." "Some of them keep more than others," Mal said quietly. "The real dangerous ones." The Reaver captain gestured. Its crew spread out, flanking positions, using tactics. Not mindless animals. Predators. Smart ones. "We're outnumbered," one of the Starfleet officers said. "Yes," Worf agreed. "But not outmatched. Forward positions. Fire on my mark." "Wait," Mal said. He stepped forward, hands visible, gun lowered but ready. "You want off this rock? Want new hunting grounds?" The Reaver captain tilted its head, listening. "There's ships coming," Mal continued. "Big ones, soldiers, weapons. They want to capture you, use you, turn you into something they can control." A laugh, horrible, wet, wrong. "No, control. We take, we feed." "Then help us. We blow this ship. You scatter into the asteroids. The soldiers come looking. You kill them from the shadows. And when they're all dead, you take their ships. Fly wherever you want." Silence. The Reavers shifted, considering. Worf leaned close to Mal. "What are you doing?" "Negotiating," Mal whispered back. "Reavers are animals, but they're still human enough to understand trade. I give them an enemy. They let us leave. You're offering them the Dominion. Better them than us." The Reaver captain's scarred face twisted into something that might have been a smile. "Deal," it gestured. The corridor cleared. "Go," it rasped. "We hunt the new ones." The boarding party backed away carefully, weapons ready, not trusting the ceasefire but accepting it. They reached the beam-out coordinates. Worf tapped his comm badge. "Defiant, 6 to beam up, now!" The world dissolved. They materialized on the Defiant just as the timer hit 0. The Reaver ship exploded. A brilliant flash that lit up the asteroid field, debris scattering in all directions. "Status," Sisko demanded. "All personnel accounted for," Worf reported. "Reaver vessel destroyed, but Commander..." He paused. "The Reavers are still alive. They evacuated into the asteroids before we detonated." "How many?" "At least a dozen, possibly more." Before Sisko could respond, Dax called out urgently. "Benjamin, the Dominion ships are here." 3 warships dropped out of warp, weapons powered, positioned in a triangle formation around the debris field. "This is Wei-Yun," the Vorta's voice came over the comm. Commander Sisko, you've destroyed what we came to retrieve. The Founders are most displeased. The vessel was a threat to this sector, Sisko replied. We eliminated it. You eliminated our property. Since when are genocidal cannibals from another universe your property? Since we claimed them, and now you'll pay the price for your interference. The Dominion ships opened fire. Evasive maneuvers, Sisko barked. Return fire. The Defiant was built for this. Compact, heavily armed, designed to punch above its weight. It spun through the asteroid field, quantum torpedoes streaking toward Dominion targets, phaser cannons cutting through shields. But 3-to-1 odds were still 3-to-1. Shields at 60%, O'Brien reported from engineering. We can't sustain this, Commander. One of the Dominion ships broke formation, moving deeper into the asteroid field, scanning, and finding exactly what it was looking for. Reavers, hiding in cave systems, waiting, watching. The Dominion ship launched transport beams, trying to capture specimens. It was a mistake. The Reavers attacked the beam-out points, killing the Jem'Hadar soldiers who materialized to retrieve them. And in the chaos, some Reavers made it aboard the Dominion vessel. Alarms blared on the enemy ship. Weapons fire echoed through its corridors. Jem'Hadar Polaron rifles against Reavers' savagery. Benjamin, Dax said, watching her sensors in disbelief. The Reavers are boarding the Dominion ship. They're tearing through the crew. Pull back, Sisko ordered. Let them fight it out. The Defiant retreated to the asteroid field's edge, watching as chaos consumed the Dominion formation. The infected ship's engines flickered. Life support failed. And then, with terrible finality, it detonated. Whether from Reaver sabotage or Dominion self-destruct, nobody could tell. The remaining 2 Dominion vessels ceased fire, repositioning, recalculating. Weyoun's face appeared on screen, no longer calm. Commander Sisko, what have you done? Nothing, Sisko replied. You wanted the Reavers. You got them. They're animals, uncontrollable. We tried to tell you. Another explosion. The second Dominion ship, compromised from within, went critical. The last remaining vessel retreated toward the wormhole at maximum warp. Reavers likely still aboard, spreading through its corridors like a virus. Should we pursue? Worf asked. No, Sisko said quietly. Let the Dominion deal with what they tried to unleash. Silence fell across the bridge. Mal moved to the viewport, staring at the debris field where the Reaver ship had been, where his universe's nightmare had tried to take root in a new reality. It's not over, he said. There's still Reavers out there, in those asteroids. Maybe on that Dominion ship if it makes it through the wormhole. We'll hunt them, Sisko replied. Track down every last one. And if they get to the Gamma Quadrant, start spreading through Dominion space. Sisko met his eyes. Then the Founders will learn the same lesson you tried to teach them. Some weapons can't be controlled. Deep Space Nine's docking bay was quiet when the Defiant returned. The crew filed out, exhausted, haunted by what they'd seen. Wash ran to Zoe, pulling her into an embrace that she allowed despite her usual stoicism. Kaylee hugged Jane, who actually didn't complain. Simon checked River, who stood apart, staring at the wormhole through the viewport. They're screaming, she whispered. The ones in the ship that got through, they're screaming so loud. The prophets hear it? Sisko asked gently. River nodded. They're angry. The damaged ones hurt the fabric of space. They'll close the temple to them, seal it. The screaming won't cross back. Dax checked her console. Benjamin, the wormhole, it's fluctuating. Energy patterns are changing. On every monitor, the wormhole pulsed with brilliant blue light. And then, impossibly, it narrowed. The aperture contracting, the energy signature shifting. The prophets are modifying the wormhole, Dax breathed. Creating a barrier. Ships can still pass through, but organic matter matching Reaver biosignatures will be rejected. They're protecting their temple, Kira said softly, and protecting us. The wormhole stabilized in its new configuration, beautiful, impassable to the monsters that had tried to defile it. Mal stood with his crew, watching the phenomenon, realizing what it meant. We can't go home, Kaylee said quietly. Can we? The wormhole only connects 2 points in this universe, Dax explained gently. Your reality, it's somewhere else entirely, through barriers we don't know how to cross. So we're stuck here, Jane said. You're here, Sisko corrected, and you're welcome to stay. Deep Space Nine has become home to a lot of people who had nowhere else to go. Bajorans who survived occupation, Starfleet officers far from Earth, refugees from a dozen wars. Mal looked at his crew, at Zoe and Wash, holding hands, at Kaylee, tears on her cheeks but hope in her eyes, at Jane, already calculating angles, at Book, serene and accepting, at Simon and River, the doctor's protective hand on his sister's shoulder, at Inara, graceful even in loss, his family, his responsibility. We don't fit in your federation, Mal said. We're thieves, smugglers, fighters. We lived outside the law because the law was corrupt. Then help us make sure our laws stay just, Sisko replied. This station sits at the crossroads between 2 quadrants. We need people who think differently, who've seen the dark side of government control, who know how to survive when the system fails. You're offering us a job? I'm offering you purpose, a place to belong. Mal looked at the wormhole, the door that had brought them here and now barred them from returning home. What about our ship? He asked. Keep it. Upgrade it if you want. There's plenty of work for a fast, independent vessel. Supply runs, rescue missions, intelligence gathering. Legal work, Sisko added with a slight smile. Mostly, Mal repeated. He looked at Zoe. She nodded once. Your call, sir. All right, Commander, Mal said. We'll stay. Try this Federation thing. See if it's different from what we ran from. It won't be perfect, Sisko warned. We have politics, corruption, bureaucracy. But we try. Every day we try to be better than we were. That's more than the Alliance ever did. They shook hands. 2 captains from different universes, bound now by shared battle and tentative trust. Welcome home, Captain Reynolds, Sisko said. Home, Mal echoed, tasting the word. Strange, foreign, but maybe, just maybe, possible. 3 weeks later, the Serenity sat in Docking Bay 5, her hull patched and upgraded with Federation technology. Shields now and better sensors, though Kaylee had insisted on keeping the heart of her engine pure. The crew had scattered across the station, finding their places. Kaylee worked in engineering with O'Brien, their easy friendship blooming into genuine partnership. Zoe and Worf trained together in the Hollow Suites, warrior respect evolving into something like friendship. Jane ran security for Quark. The Ferengi had recognized a kindred spirit and hired him immediately, much to Odo's exasperation. Simon worked in the infirmary with Bashir, finally able to practice medicine with resources that actually worked. Book spent his days in the temple with Kira, discussing faith and finding peace. Inara had opened a small counseling practice, helping refugees and traders process trauma, her training as a companion translating surprisingly well to therapy. And River. River stood at the wormhole viewport every day, listening to the prophets, translating their timeless wisdom for Sisko when needed. She was changing, healing. The voices in her head were quieter now, replaced by something greater. Mal stood in the Serenity's cargo bay, the space that had been home for so many years. Wash was in the pilot's seat, running systems checks. Zoe stood beside Mal, as always. Strange, isn't it? She said. We spent years running from the Alliance, and now we're working with something that looks an awful lot like government. Difference is, Mal replied, this time it's our choice. We can leave any time? Can we? Zoe asked. Where would we go? Mal smiled slightly. Fair point. His communicator chirped, the Starfleet comm badge they'd all been issued. Sisko to Reynolds. We've got a situation. Cardassian freighter is under attack by raiders near the Badlands. They're asking for help. Mal tapped the badge. We're a long way from the Badlands, Commander. You're also the only ship fast enough to get there in time. Mal looked at Zoe. She shrugged. Your call. All right, Mal said. We're on it. Tell them the cavalry's coming. Thank you, Captain. Cisco out. Mal walked to the cargo bay door, hit the panel to seal it. Wash, spin her up. We got work. Finally, Wash called back. I was going stir-crazy. The Serenity's engines rumbled to life. Familiar, comforting. The ship that had carried them through one universe's darkness now prepared to face another universe's challenges. Mal stood in the center of the cargo bay as they pulled away from the station, feeling the deck vibrate beneath his feet. They'd lost their home, lost their universe, lost everything they'd known. But they'd found something too. Purpose, allies, maybe even hope. The Serenity cleared the station and jumped to warp. Federation technology married to independent engineering, creating something new. Mal smiled despite himself. Let's see what this universe has got for us, he said quietly. Behind them, Deep Space Nine grew smaller. The wormhole pulsed its endless rhythm, and the prophets watched over them all, protecting the temple, guiding the lost, teaching those who would listen. The crew of the Serenity had come through fire and darkness to find light, and in this strange new universe, they would make their stand together. The convergence of two universes through the Bajoran wormhole brought chaos and revelation to Deep Space Nine. The Serenity and her crew, refugees from a reality where freedom was fought for and lost, found themselves stranded in a galaxy governed by the Federation's ideals of unity and exploration. The Reavers, humanity's darkest transformation, tested the limits of both the Federation's mercy and the Dominion's ambition. In trying to weaponize madness, the Founders learned that some horrors cannot be controlled, only survived. The prophets, beings beyond time, recognized the threat and sealed their temple against the damaged ones, protecting both quadrants from further contamination. For Malcolm Reynolds and his crew, the journey through the wormhole became more than escape. It became transformation. In losing everything, they found belonging. In a universe built on the ideals they'd once fought for and lost, they discovered a second chance. The Serenity flies on, now under Federation registry but still independent in spirit. Her crew serves as a bridge between two philosophies, the cynical pragmatism born from oppression and the hopeful idealism of those who believe tomorrow can be better than today. Some wounds close, others scar. But all survivors carry forward, seeking meaning in the black, finding family among strangers, and learning that home isn't where you're from. It's who stands beside you when the universe burns. The wormhole remains open, connecting distant shores, guarded by beings who exist beyond human understanding. And somewhere in the Gamma Quadrant, the Dominion deals with the consequences of their hubris, as Reavers spread through their territory like a virus. But on Deep Space Nine, at the edge of explored space, 9 souls from another reality stand watch, ready for whatever comes next. If you want to see more crossover stories that bring different universes together, hit that subscribe button and drop your favorite character or universe in the comments below. What universe should collide with Star Trek next? Let us know.